Hi everyone. In this video, I want to kind of introduce the Digital Markstrat simulation for you to kind of give you some idea of what you're doing. A lot of the uh, videos you find on the videos page in the class are individually focused on each of the individual screens in the simulation, but I want to go ahead and give you a kind of a broad overview to make sure that you're all cool with what you're supposed to be doing. And I will tell you up front, this will be uh, a little bit overwhelming, the information, but don't worry, that is a normal feeling that will go away over time, hopefully. So let's just talk about this a little bit, okay? So you and your team are in charge of marketing for this company. You make these electronic products. They're, fictitious. One type of product is called a SONITE. Think of it kind of like a smartphone, and another type of product is called a VODITE. Think of it more like one of those virtual reality, headset things. Okay, and so you'll be in charge of all marketing functions for your particular company. You'll be assessed on numerous different things like share price, profit, things like that. In this course, you will be evaluated based on your cumulative earnings before taxes, and we'll get to that somewhere else in the course. Okay, so just some things. I'm not going to read all of this, verbatim, but just again, you're going to make all the decisions for your particular marketing department. You're going to decide on prices, where to advertise, how much to spend on advertising, how much you want to dive into digital marketing. You get to decide on what products you offer. You can create new products. You can do lots of other things. You can engage in market research as well. All of these things with the end goal of improving your company's performance from a marketing standpoint. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the Markstrat world. So this fictitious world has 80 million people broken up into urban, small urban, and rural categories. You can see here market conditions are as stated here. It's a large territory. The dollar is your unit of currency. There is GMP growth, inflation that certainly plays into things. You'll be competing against, ignore this, you'll be competing against 3 other computerized teams. So each student team will compete against 3 computerized teams in your own individual industry. So the team name that you're assigned, which is an animal name, is also the name of that particular industry. Everyone is going to be Team S. Everyone starts at the exact same place. Okay, but you'll be competing again against 3 computerized teams. Okay, you're given a budget to spend on all your marketing decisions. It's a percentage of past period earnings before taxes. The better you do, the more money you get. This tends to mimic the real world. Companies want to throw money at good products and not bad products. So that's how it works. 2 product categories. Again, I mentioned SONITEs and VODITEs. They are not necessarily substitutes or complementary. They're independent. People could certainly buy both of these products. The SONITE has these 6 attributes that you can manipulate and also kind of accentuate in your advertising, depending on market desires. Okay, so number of features, design index, and so on and so on. Okay, the VODITEs have different attributes. Okay, so remember these are the virtual reality glass type thing. Okay, so resolution, carbon footprint, a number of other things. All right. Every brand, SONITE or VODITE, in the marketplace has this naming convention. So whatever your team name is and your situation's S, every brand name of yours will start with the letter S. The second letter indicates whether it's a SONITE or a VODITE, O for SONITE, E for VODITE, and then you can add a couple more letters to make some sort of creative name. So they've decided on tonic here. So we know this is Team T SONITE called tonic, and we know this is Team M VODITE called melody. Okay. So 5 types of SONITE customers, you can see them here. They all have different desires, different price sensitivities, different things that they value. So you'll need to understand each of them in order to decide who is appropriate to target with your brands. Know that the segment sizes evolve over time. These are our VODITE segments: followers, early adopters, innovators. A little bit different than the SONITE market, and just know that they kind of the sizes evolve over time, and this is also true in the SONITE market. So you have reports where you'll be able to kind of track those growth numbers. Okay, media in which you can promote your products. Digital owned, which basically means your website, your apps, things like that, your social media presence. Digital paid, which is just basically you're buying ads online. Digital earned, just basically has to do with word of mouth, what other people are saying about you. Traditional, think about TV advertising, radio advertising, magazines, things like that. And then outdoor, which is things like billboards. So you can place money and focus on any or all of those categories. And again, it needs to be linked to the habits of the particular target you're after. Distribution channels, there are 4 places where you can sell your products. Specialty stores, think of Best Buy. Mass merchandisers, think of Target. E-commerce, think of Amazon. And e-store is your company's own store. Okay, so 4 different channels: indirect distribution, indirect distribution, indirect distribution. This one is direct. Okay, and know that people that shop at each of these stores have different characteristics. Those who shop at mass merchandisers, for example, are much more price sensitive than those that shop at specialty stores. Okay, managing your firm. Okay, again, your objective generally is to maximize your share price index, but in this course, it's maximize your cumulative earnings before taxes. Okay, so all of these things you need to optimize. The more you optimize all of these, the better off you're going to be in the class. Okay, you take data, turn that data into information, which basically is learning, and you turn that into a marketing strategy that you then put in place and try to grow your company's value. So decisions that you make, digital marketing basically falls under here. Marketing mix is where you'll do things like pricing and how many units you need to order, advertising, things like that. Digital marketing here, this is where you're going to kind of, like it says here, allocate between online and traditional sales force. So you're going to have a sales team that goes out and sells your products into the different retailers. So you're not selling to the end user except in your own e-stores. Everything else, you're attempting to sell your products into the retailers. So think about a salesperson that would walk into Best Buy and say, "Hey, we think you should sell our product." So that's what you're doing here. Market research studies are studies you can order as part of your budget that will provide you information to help you better understand your marketing so as to make more informed decisions. Okay. So the system defaults to allow you to do only these things in period 1, but I change the settings. That way you can do some R&D and other things that we'll talk about later. Okay, production planning, you've got to estimate how many units you think you could sell in the marketplace and order that number of units. Okay, so you've got to take into account how many units you had left over in the previous period. You want to try to resell those in the new period, so you will adjust how many you're going to order down based on how many you have left. Okay. There's also this plus or minus 20% production kind of adjustment. So if you overshoot or undershoot, the system will automatically adjust you to up to plus or minus 20% of the number you input here to help you prevent having too many left over, or also to prevent selling out. Okay, here's some examples of some production planning decisions. You estimate 180,000 in sales. You've got 30,000 in inventory. Subtract that from this to give you how many you should produce 150,000. You order that many. Potential sales, come to find out after things have been run, was only 154,000. So the simulation will adjust that number downward to where you only have to end up producing 124,000, and this way you are ending with satisfying all demand plus not having any units left over in inventory. Leftover inventory carries an inventory holding cost, so just keep that in mind. The second situation here, same demand of 154,000, you only ordered 110,000. I'm sorry, you estimated 110. Your inventory was 30,000, so you subtract that from this. You ordered 80,000. Your potential sales was 154,000. The production adjustment adjusted up 20%, but only allowed you to get to 96,000 units sold. So you ended up with 28,000 lost. So you have ending inventory of 0, which is good. There's no holding costs, but you lost the potential value of 28,000 in sales. And then the overly optimistic, you estimate 230,000, subtract out your existing inventory, you order 200,000, potential sales again was 154,000. You end up with an adjustment downward, but only downward to 160,000. You kind of max out the 20% adjustment. You end up with 36,000 left in inventory. Going to be some existing holding costs there. You did not lose any sales. You met all demand. Okay, so just keep these kind of scenarios in mind when you're doing production estimates. Just to clarify, this right here, you don't necessarily really know. This is this number shows up after you've run the simulation, so you've got to use other metrics and other screens to help you kind of try to estimate what that is. Production estimates is very hard. So you're trying to predict the future. You don't know what the market's going to look like. You don't know what your competitors are doing. So just know this is going to be a challenging part of the simulation experience. Okay. You can also estimate your lost sales. You know, if you run out, you're not able to fulfill all demand, you can really cause lots of harm to your firm. You might be thinking, well, lost sales is, running out, selling out is good because we, sold out all our units we produce. It's kind of good, but how many units could you have sold if you had an unlimited supply? So if customers show up at a store to buy your product and they can't find it, what do? They oftentimes buy the competitor's product. So the difference between purchase intentions and market shares is going to be roughly how many sales that you lost. Pricing. You also need to get an idea of what your customer is willing to pay and charge that. You obviously need to consider what the distributors are going to take from you, discounts that some retailers take, and other things. But at the end of the day, you need to really focus on what consumers are willing to pay. Okay. The 3 indirect distribution paths, the specialty stores, mass merchandisers, and online stores, they all have different discount policies. So basically, how much do they take off the average retail price, or the kind of the estimated retail price? So what you do in the simulation is you set kind of the MSRP. This is the suggested price, right? Well, each of the channels has the flexibility to provide a discount. So if you charge if you say $400, specialty stores are going to charge $400. Mass merchandisers are going to charge $360 because they take a 10% discount. Online stores take a 5% discount. So they're going to sell your products not for $400 but for $380. Each of these channels also takes a margin. So they basically are in business to make money, and so they're going to take a percentage of the selling price. Okay, and so specialty stores take 40%, mass merchandisers 30%, online stores 30%. So your end selling price to each of these retailers is 240 for specialty stores, 252 mass merchandisers, and 266 to online stores. If your product costs you 125, we refer to it as transfer costs in this context. Subtract the transfer cost from the selling price, it'll tell you how many dollars you're going to make per unit. So, got to keep those things in mind, the discount and the margin, when thinking about the price that you're going to set and the money you're going to make on the sale of each unit. Advertising we use only to build awareness typically. So the more money you spend on advertising, the more awareness you're going to build. Awareness is the first step in getting people to purchase, okay? You need to create some targeting here. You've got your 5 segments here. How much emphasis do you want to put on each of the 5 segments? The sum of all 5 obviously should equal 100%. Advertising media dollars are used to boost awareness. Advertising research dollars are used to allow you to better understand the marketplace, to better produce ads that would be considered persuasive. Digital marketing, you can allocate some money and some resources across the digital channels as well. So you want to make sure that you do that. So this number here, the 1500K, is the number you put in for advertising media on the previous screen. And so just know that. And so you're going to break this down based on percentages. Salesforce, again, you are selling your products to retailers. And so you need to decide how many salespeople you need in each of the channels. And for digital, you need to decide how much money you're going to spend, focusing on those digital channels or those online channels as well. Okay, marketing powerhouse, you can add some different digital initiatives, things like, email marketing, performance marketing, influencer marketing. You can kind of break down your digital marketing into more specific activities, and also marketing initiatives kind of offline, things like partnerships and trade-in offers, things like that. So you can kind of boost what you're doing with that. So talked about your budget. Your budget comes from your performance in the previous period. Minimum of $10 million, maximum of $20 million. You can borrow money in this class. You can get a loan, which will be discussed later. And then this kind of gives you a sum of everything that you're doing in terms of marketing spend. You always want your marketing expenditure to never be negative, because if you overspend and we run the simulation, it will take money away from advertising or commercial team, and you don't know exactly where it's going to be taken from. But anyways, it's going to result in some problems. So you want to make sure that you don't overspend. If you leave money, like in this particular situation, you don't get the money in the next period. It does not carry over. So kind of like the real world, this is why departments are always spending the rest of their budgets in December. It's because the money doesn't carry over in the previous period. So same deal here. Okay, profit and loss statement here. You can look at this just to see how well your company's doing overall. I'm not going to spend much time there in this video. Brand contribution is just the money you're earning per brand. Okay, so you have a brand called Rock. If you were Team R, this is your revenues, your cost of goods sold, money spent on carryover. This gives you your contribution before marketing, and then money you spent on marketing issues, marketing activities come here, and so you end up with total contribution after marketing per brand. So you can see here that this row mill is doing fantastically, this Rock is doing great, Roll's doing okay, and this Rogs is doing kind of eh. So could be a new brand that over time it'll grow, but at this point it's not doing so great. Okay, so getting started on your first year's decisions, just get familiar with Markstrat, have some skull sessions with your teammates to make sure that you understand what's going on. The more you guys prep, the better off you're going to be. Don't make any major changes yet. I will let you know once the first round begins. We'll do some practice periods first. And once we get through 2 practice periods, we'll start over and we'll do 8 periods that count towards your grade in this class. Okay, so with that in mind, need to organize yourselves. Again, get together, have some skull sessions. Like I said, you're going to have some differences of opinion. Make sure you talk through those. Information overload, like I mentioned, is going to be a big deal. So make sure that you just do this methodically and take some deep breaths and take some breaks, and hopefully you'll end up with good decisions.